Hey everybody, welcome. Big aloha. I'm Natalie, and this is Life After a Cult, the channel where we expose cult nonsense. We laugh at the absurdities. And most importantly, we hopefully unbrainwash ourselves in the process. And today's YouTube forecast is 100% chance of drama, emotional breakthroughs, and Scientology shenanigans. Relatable Reese is popping off. Jenna Miscavige is dropping emotional truth bombs. And Aaron Smith-Levin is getting trespassed like it's his full-time job. And we're just getting started. There's a lot more news coming. Welcome, everybody. Thank you so much, moderators, for being here, keeping things aloha. And welcome everybody in the live chat. I see you. I love seeing the members pop up too. Hey, Fat Grammy. And if you're on the replay, welcome. Thank you for being here. And jump in those comments. Tell me what you think about the stories that we're talking about and what your thoughts are. Just keep it aloha. All right, first thing we got to cover here, you guys. I could not believe it when I saw this. I don't even know what is happening. It's like, what is happening? Look at this. I've got two things to show you. This is on eBay. This is a Scientology volunteer minister jacket. You know, you see the volunteer minister on the front. And the listing says vintage, very rare, grailed, which I don't know what that means. Church of Scientology jacket, men's medium. And they're asking $2,500. $2,500 for this. You know, you got your different images. It says Church of Scientology, volunteer minister. There's a close-up. Church of Scientology there on the pocket. My first question is, who is doing this? Who is going on eBay? Did they find him? Like, did you have an uncle that was in Scientology and maybe he passed away and you took his stuff to Goodwill and someone found it and they're trying to share it or sell it? I don't get it. I think it's hilarious. So now I have to keep an eye on this and see if anybody buys it. Like, what's the deal? So keep in mind, this one's $2,500. Okay. There is another one that is actually cheaper if you'd like to get yourself a volunteer minister jacket. This one is, what is this one? $321.99. So what are we thinking about this? Now, this one looks like it's the newer design because it has the patch on the sleeve and it's got that big on the back. Scientology volunteer ministers, because they learned their lesson in Scientology that when you want to get in front of the cameras, when you're at a food distribution event, not really doing anything, but you're there to get on camera, you got to make sure you can see the Scientology volunteer ministers logo and wording. So they had to make it bigger because they realized that when they were, crashing newscast, news reporters, people live on the scene trying to show their yellow jackets and stuff, that the logo just needed to be bigger. Dan bid 99 cents. All right. If any of you get this, please tell me. And the listing here is calling it a rare Church of Scientology volunteer minister yellow jacket raincoat, size extra large. And I have the same questions. Why $321? I mean, honestly, why $30? What am I missing? I don't understand. You guys got to tell me. I just don't know who would pay that much money for this. I mean, I can think of some shenanigans you can get into, but I'm not, handing over $300 for it. Just curious. So I'm going to link all this down below, the articles, the videos, everything that we're going to talk about in the description of this video as soon as I'm done. So you can check it out yourselves and we can keep an eye on it. And if anyone finds out what happens, if it sells, what it sells for, and you see that, do your girl a favor, send me a message, Natalie@lifeafteracult.com. I love it when you guys email me links to articles or other videos. If it's a video, just make sure that you include a timestamp if you're not, clipping it, and tell me what I'm looking at. But I can't make any sense of this whatsoever. Will Graham says, people probably think since public spends so much on Scientology, they might want a piece of the memorabilia. I guess it could be, right? If you know that Scientology is continuing to dwindle in a spiral, like, just going down the bathtub train there, that maybe one day it could be worth something. I don't know. I just don't know. Like a collector's item. I can't make sense of it. HR says, of course, Scientology is dying. Scientology merchandise is going to be collector's items. Really made me wish I'd have kept some of my stuff. I don't think I ever had a volunteer minister's jacket, but I had a shirt. But I got rid of all my Scientology stuff a long time ago. Now, I found the other day, some International Association of Scientologists pins. I need to pull them out. Maybe I should put them on eBay for like $500 a piece. Did I see someone say hi to Kelly Copter? If you're here, girl. Hey, girl, hey. I'll have to go back and see. All right, now let's pop on over to PBD Podcasts. This is a clip from an episode that they did, and the conversation was around, who are you more afraid of, Scientologists or the Mormons? And I thought that was an interesting conversation. I will say this. I'm going to share the clip, which is this one part. I did watch part of the video, and they got a lot of things wrong about Scientology. I was actually kind of surprised, but the clip is cool. So let's take a look at this.
Did you do something with Mormons or no?
No, I want to.
Oh,
but it's kind of hard because if you portray them negatively, it's kind of like Scientologists. Like the Mormons have a lot of money to sue you.
Yeah, but Scientology will come after you in different ways.
I'm more scared of Scientology than any other subgroup in the world.
Really?
Yeah, you know about fair gaming, right? Their policy where they can like stalk you and harass you for years.
Of course, I'm very familiar with
use
that.
CIA technology to make you think you're having a schizophrenic break.
For sure. They are incredible at what they do. I mean, the guy's wife's been missing for how long? David Miscavige's wife's been missing for how many years now?
Shirley?
Is it Shelley or Shirley?
Shelley.
Yeah. It's Shelley. How do you not know that? That's like Scientology 101 here on YouTube, right? When you're doing a video about Scientology, you got to know who Shelley is. It's a very common question. It is Scientology lore even. Where is Shelley Miscavige? I was thinking about this too. You know how when Leah Remini left, and I mean, she really brought that to the forefront. Where is Shelley Miscavige? And it became a whole thing. And it is still a thing for a lot of people, even though we know where Shelley Miscavige is. But it is an out point that she hasn't been seen in public for such a long time, which kind of makes you wonder. It is an out point, a red flag that Leah Remini had a wellness check done. And we found out later on that the fingerprints first submitted for Shelley Miscavige years ago, and the fingerprints taken that day or provided did not match. So I'm just saying, we know where she is, but do we really? I don't know. It's weird. It's so weird to me. Lena says someone's selling Scientology uniforms to pay off freeloader debts. Oh my gosh, let me tell you this. Scientology would not be down with this. I do not think so, because here's what they're afraid of. They're afraid someone's going to buy it and pretend to be a volunteer minister and join their next shenanigans, I'm sure. I bet you that's what they're thinking. All right, let's jump on over now to a little apostate Alex in the UK, where Scientology is going to be doing their March Against Psychiatric Abuses in London. And guess what? They don't have proper permits. And if there's anyone who knows about proper permits in the UK, London specifically, East Grinstead, it's apostate Alex, because he's done multiple protests like this, even at St. Hill in East Grinstead, and knew you needed proper permitting. So here's Scientology, Citizens Commission on Human Rights. We fight the psychiatrists, the evil psychiatrists. They're going to do a march with no permits, or so it seems. So let's take a look at this clip here where apostate Alex lays it out.
It's very clear that Scientology, under the guise of CCHR here, are planning a march. Now, having organized 2 protests outside St. Hill for the IAS event, IAS being International Association of Scientologists, I am very clued up on what you can and can't do when it comes to protests in the UK. And UK law allows anybody to gather at any time, at any place on public land in protest as a static demonstration for any reason. You do not need to give any sort of advance warning to police or local government or anything like that. You can just do it. However, under the Public Order Act, if you wish to do some sort of march, if you wish to have a moving procession of some kind, if you're not going to be standing in one place for the entirety of the protest, you are required to give permission to the local, give notice, to the local police force about 6 days ahead of time. And it's very clear that Scientology, under the guise of CCH.
So they do not apparently have these permits. So I'm sure Apostate Alex will give us an update and let us know what happened. But isn't that, it's so crazy that Scientology, the second somebody steps a centimeter outside of the law, they are like, if you're a critic of Scientology, and even if you don't, they want to take things out of context or make it look like something that it wasn't. Set people up for altercations, all of the things. But here they are, they just, and this is something that irritates me about Scientology, is their sense of entitlement. We don't need to ask permission. Are you kidding me? No, we're Scientology. We know better. And I remember when I was in Scientology and my daughter Shelby was on the Estates Project Force, she started Sea Org member boot camp. And by the way, the woman who recruited her, who completely lied up and down about how things had changed in the Sea Org, how Shelby would be getting an education, would be in school, and she would finish the Estates Project Force. You know, before that, all this stuff ended up not being true. I flew out there and I got my daughter. After the head of the Estates Project Force, Scientology boot camp, Ben Monahan, told me over the phone when I was in Minnesota, and I called him, I'm like, hey, my daughter wants to leave, but you don't have her on a routing form. What's going on? He pretty much told me it was none of my business. That, you know, I'm a Sea Org member, she's a Sea Org member. And I'm like, no, I'm not a Sea Org member. I left the Sea organization. I voided, ripped up, done. My $1 billion contract does not exist. Therefore, no, I'm not a Sea Org member. I ended up flying out there to go get her, but it was Brittany Garrett Ruiz who we're going to see, who, if you watched the Clearwater protest last night, she shows up in the video. And I was like, oh my gosh. Anyways, not my most favorite person in the world because how she's recruited, you know, young people to the Sea Org under false pretenses. But that's coming up a little bit later in the video. For now, let's talk about a short that Liz Gale did, bringing attention to a 15-year-old boy learning how to control bodies at Scientology headquarters in 2025. Now, controlling bodies, there's a course called the Upper Indoctrination course, right? Upper Indocs is what we always called it, but it was the Upper Indoctrination course. And she's right. That's what you do. You learn how to control bodies. You physically move people around, and some other things that are a bit odd and unusual. And I don't know, some might call it crazy. Yeah, it's crazy now that I think about it. It kind of is. Especially the ashtray yelling. Oh my gosh. Any of my former Scientology friends here in the chat, do you remember those drills? Oh, I hated it. Stand up and you lift the ashtray up. Sit down in that chair and you put the ashtray down and you're literally yelling at it. You're supposed to yell at it. Don't miss it. That's one of many things when I think about my time in Scientology, I'm like, don't miss it. It's like a bad ex, right? You look back and you're like, don't miss it. So let's take a look at Liz Gale here and bring out what she is bringing to the forefront here.
15-year-old boy learning how to fully control a body. What is this? This is Scientology. This was posted today, okay? 2025. Hi, I'm Liz Gale. I also was raised in Scientology. And so when I see this, I'm pissed the F off. And I'm going to tell you why. We have a child who is studying full time, all right? Like 40 hours a week, just like a job. Now, this is his like, oh, I finished this flag, pro upper indoc.
Wow, he did it at flag. I missed that the first time around. Ooh, that's hardcore because, you know, if you are a flag trained auditor, it is like a big deal. And my guess is that he is doing auditor training because this is on the side of Scientology's Bridge to Total Freedom, where you actually do auditor training on one side, and on the other side, you do Scientology auditing. And you eventually get to the level where you get to audit out your space cooties like I did. All right, let's finish watching this.
That stands for indoctrination, folks. Training routines course. Arguably, this is some of the most damaging to a child's psyche. You do things like command a person to go touch that wall. Thank you. And then you walk over, touch that wall. Thank you, for hours. At one point, and I know this sounds like a joke. It is not a joke. This is freaking for real. You have to command an ashtray to stand up. Yeah.
Yep, that was, I think, my favorite part was yelling at the ashtray that I absolutely do not miss. It felt so odd and awkward, but other people were doing it. Stand up, sit down. Thank you, Marilyn. Natalie, I always smile when you say bridge to total freedom. Now I can't help it. It's like, now it's a compulsive thing. Kelly Copter says, I used to be able to hear them yelling at ashtrays at St. Hill. Very loud, very weird. It gives the Twilight Zone. It does. And there's a drill, and I can't remember if it's on the upper indoctrination course that Liz Gale's talking about, or it was on another course. It could be that one where you put an intention into an ashtray. I think it's that one, if I remember it correctly. Because you put the intention into the ashtray because you're going to get it to do what you want it to do. So the idea then afterwards, as a trained Scientologist, is you put your intention into somebody to make them do what you want them to do. And you physically control them if they don't do that. How many times have we seen this on on live streams, especially at the blue buildings, where there's someone there who is speaking to someone who's live streaming or protesting Scientology. And what happens? Security or a Scientologist will come out and be like, let's go back in. You need to go back in the building. Let's go back in the building. Get in that building. Thank you. They don't actually, I don't think I've seen any yell at the person in those videos, but that's the idea, is it's training them to use their intention to control other people. Now, when I was in Scientology and doing this, my understanding, I was looking at it from the viewpoint of, because I was doing training for my job in Scientology, or because I wasn't doing auditor training. I think I was doing ethics training then. But either way, the whole idea is that you can control other people with your intention and physically handle them if that doesn't work. Yeah, those drills are very uncomfortable. I've seen people thrown against walls doing some of those drills when you do the walk over to that wall, because at one point there's a coach and a student, and the coach has to resist, and you have to physically get this person to go. And part of the drill is the coach resists, tries to get away, and you have to grab that person. I mean, yeah, I think 1 or 2 times I accidentally got someone into a wall. I didn't mean to throw them at the wall, but you kind of get into it. But the crazy part for me is that they got a 15-year-old kid doing this. But hey, this is Scientology. Are we really surprised by it? Let's go over to blue buildings now, where MD Media 18 was on scene when it looked like a Sea Org member was taken in an ambulance.
Kind of see her face real quick. Not too elderly. Could you see it? I zoomed in a little bit.
Whatever happened, we hope that the woman is okay and got proper treatment. Hopefully she was taken to the hospital. MD Media did a lap around the building, and when he went back, she was gone. The ambulance was gone. So hopefully they took her with, and she's getting the medical care that she needs. And at least they called the ambulance this time. Rochelle!
Aloha!
Thank you so much for gifting one Life After a Cult membership. I really appreciate that. And I thought there it is.
Aloha!
Ooh, you got the long one, Lena. Lena in love. Thank you for being a member of the channel for 11 months. Aloha from Arctic Norway. Lovely Natalie Mods. Wish I'd go to Big Island again. Was there in 07 swimming with dolphins, huge turtles, and whale sharks. I cannot wait to be back home in Hawaii next week. Thank you so much. And thank you for being a member for such a long time, Lena. I do have memberships here on the channel as a way to support what I do. There's a link in the description of the video if you're interested. We also do weekly members only lives. All right, now let's move on over to the Hollywood Testing Center, where Scientology Audit Streets LA was out there spreading the truth about Scientology. And I really love it when young people already know some information about Scientology. And I don't know how old the young man is in this video, but my nose is sweating so bad right now. Oh, my glasses are completely sliding off. I'm so distracted by it. Hold on, I got to turn the menopause fan up. Activate level 3. There we go. Oh my goodness. Woo! Can you see my glow? Except now my nose so sweaty. Okay, back to this. So Scientology Audit Streets LA is out there with this young guy, and I'm noticing it's so wonderful how so many from, it would seem, Generation Z especially knows what's up when it comes to Scientology. And they had a great conversation back and forth. I'm just going to share a clip with you. I'll link it down below so you can go ahead and watch the whole video, but let's watch this.
So I was like, all right, I'm not gonna judge you crazy. But I was like, bro, you can't listen to music. You can't. He's like, nah, we can't do none of that. I'm like, and all your money, what do you do with it? He's like, oh, I just give it back to them. For what? So I'm thinking, like, where are they living? My homie told me right now they got bunk beds in this bitch.
Oh, is that what this is?
Well, they don't live. The ones that you deal with here, they do not live here because that would violate the law. You can't work and live in the same place while making no money. That's trafficking. So the ones that work here get shipped to the blue building over on the east side.
The big ass one.
The big one.
That shit big as fuck.
The old hospital. Now imagine what a hospital room looks like. Imagine an old hospital room. Now
yeah, it is nothing fancy. I can tell you that from personal experience, at least not in my room when I lived at the blue buildings. When I was in the Sea organization, I lived in what's called Lebanon Hall. And in Lebanon Hall, any Leb Haulers in the chat or on the replay, let's hear from you. At the time, it wasn't the nicest building, that's for sure. And my room wasn't renovated or anything like that. So it very much did give hospital. So I think he's spot on there.
Imagine put 4 to 6 bunk beds in there. And you're sleeping there with a bunch of grown people.
Oh, 4 to 6 bunk beds would have been nice back in the day. I lived in one room when I first got there when I was 15. And there were probably, oh my gosh, maybe even as many as 10 bunk beds, 3 high with 1 bathroom. So most of us had to go to another building to shower. It was crazy. Let's finish watching this.
That's what life is like.
And this is my advice to y'all, right? If y'all gonna sit here and pay them thousands of dollars to tell you what to do with your life, I'll do it for you, $600. I'll cut y'all a deal. I'll tell you exactly how to fix your motherfucking life.
$600. I mean, that's kind of a good deal when you compare that to Scientology. They seem to know what's what, though. Hey, Kai. I can't imagine moving back to Hawaii permanently because my grandchildren and my children are here on the mainland, but I could see myself spending more time there. And also, as much as I love it and I love going home and it recharges me, it's hot. It's hot. And with these hot flashes and my autoimmune stuff and heat sensitivity, I can be there for periods of time, but not long term. And it's expensive as all get out. So I'd have to like win the lottery and just have like enough money to do everything I'd want to do there to maintain my comfort. All right, now let's go over to Clearwater. You guys, so much happened in Clearwater last night. I was watching different streams. There is a whole crew of people. Some people are former Scientologists. Some have never been in Scientology, but are all in on ending this cult. And they get together Friday nights at flag graduation and live stream and protest Scientology. Aaron Smith-Levin from Growing Up in Scientology brings the Tom Cruise cutout. Sometimes they bring the one for Scientology leader, David Miscavige. And it is hilarious. They get so many honks. Now, last night, they were also out there protesting for the Save the Garden project. And remember, you can go to savethegarden.org to help on this project and to get on their email list so that you can be up to date on what's happening. They are a group representing a project to take Garden Street and turn it into a park and memorial to celebrate African-American heritage. Meanwhile, Scientology is over there trying to take the street for no known reason. Nobody knows. The mayor doesn't know. The city council doesn't know. Yet somehow they got so far down the road negotiating with Scientology to buy the street without understanding why they wanted to take it. So, I mean, it just like screams shenanigans. Now let's go. Oh yeah, that's right. We're going over to Clearwater. Let's go to Dusty Soda Dispenser. He was out there and had a hilarious, well, just watch it. Then we'll talk about it.
They're in front of a ducky van right there, hollering like that.
So there is a car full of people that is sharing their support for the protesters directly in front of the Scientology flag van. And then you hear them coming. So they're in the white car. The Scientology flag van is right behind that. And there's no way, even with the window shut, that they're not hearing this hooting and hollering and honks for Dusty and Erica's out there. Erica protests regularly in Clearwater. She doesn't live stream or have a channel, but she's out there a lot.
Yeah. Sciento's behind you. Sciento, man. Hey, honk. You're in a cult. You're in a cult. Yeah, that was great. Flag van right behind those car full of girls hollering like that.
That's hilarious and a fun moment there for Dusty. We love seeing you out there, Dusty. Cats hate cults.
Aloha.
Thank you for being a member for 13 months. I appreciate that. Thank you for creating this lovely community. I appreciate that. And it is so much about all of you, even more, I think, than me and the moderators who help us keep things aloha. I always say on my channel, you can disagree, you can ask questions to clarify, but we all know the difference between, you know, a hateful accusation and a question, a hateful accusation that has a question mark on it versus an actual genuine question. Just no hate. You cannot like somebody, you can have different opinions, but we don't indulge in hate. We try to stay away from it here on the channel to keep the chat aloha so people feel welcome. We have so many new people on my channel, some who are learning about Scientology for the very first time. And we want to create an atmosphere, environment, community where people feel welcome to come in and be able to ask questions and get to know each other too. Now, let's see. I also lived in Lebanon Hall on the 3rd floor. Oh, Amber. Yeah, I wish I could remember what floor I lived on. I can't remember. 6? How many? Maybe, you know what? The 6th floor sounds familiar, but it could have been lower. That's right, Amber. I think I even knew that before too, that you live there. Well, and Amber can also, she can also attest that it was crappy. Kelly Copter says 10 bunk beds. How is that allowed? Seems so unsafe. Oh, it was. And it is. Amber says the Lebanon Hall elevator would freak me out because it would move on its own when the doors would open. I forgot about that. So I'd always take the stairs. Oh my gosh. I thought it was haunted. Of course, it was probably something to do with the elevator. And we know, I mean, I would like to think Scientology would be keeping up to code, getting the regular inspections, but I don't know. But you're right, Amber. That was weird. RW.
Aloha.
Thank you so much for the super sticker. I appreciate that. And aloha from Michigan. Ann, good to see you. Hey, Farrell Cheryl. Molly Lang is in the house too. You are the queen of comfort, having Natalie. I appreciate that, Molly. I'm all about being comfortable. Molly knows that too. That's why I got the menopause fan on full blast right now. Okay, and we do have our birthday, Alex. Hold on a sec. Alex BR. Nancy's saying, I must have missed it. It is your birthday. So we are going to do a little quick happy birthday here for Alex. Everybody ready? Dance along.
Happy birthday to you.
Alex.
Happy birthday to you.
Alex.
Happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
And ready.
Happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday to you.
And ready. We have 2 birthday, Alex Barnes Ross and Han Ratty. Happy birthday to you both. That is fabulous. I love doing birthdays. Everybody throw some happy birthdays in the chat. And if you are on the replay, feel free to throw them in the comments as well. I love birthdays. I love people's birthdays. All right, moving on. Keep those happy birthdays coming. You ever wonder about Scientology in Alaska? I'm sure y'all woke up this morning and wiped away the sleep from your eyes, gave it a little stretch and went, I wonder what's happening with Scientology in Alaska. Well, we've got some news for you. But first,
Aloha.
Robin Miners, thank you so much. Malasada Money Have the best trip. I appreciate that so much. And yes, I do actually need a Malasada fund because I am so addicted. For those that don't know, these are amazing, beautiful, yummy Portuguese donuts in Hawaii and you can inject all these flavors like coconut and chocolate and peanut butter. And I'm so addicted. I want to get one of their giant boxes and I'm going to have Feral Cheryl. That's right. I can't wait to eat a Malasada and Jenna and Aaron and just try them. And I'm going to video it because it's amazing. Now I'm getting hunger pains even thinking about it. But thank you so much for that. It will absolutely go in the Malasada fund. All right. Now, I was talking about Alaska. Moose on the Loose just gets around all over the place. And Moose was in Alaska. I don't think I've seen Scientology in Alaska. So this was a first for me too. So check it out. He is out. This is probably, it is. It's a Scientology mission. It says, what's that say? World Mission Society. Well, that says Church of God. But apparently Scientology's in the building. There's another sign. Let's take a look.
Mission, but this isn't.
There we go. Church of Scientology, Mission of Anchorage.
So this is your little mission.
Yeah, and it is, and most missions in Scientology tend to be much smaller than a Scientology org. But here's the thing, we haven't really paid a ton attention to these missions before, but I think there's going to be more attention brought to them because Scientology is doing the same program they did with the ideal organizations and trying to make these ideal missions. L1 Hubbard said you should have 10 missions around every single Scientology organization that should be feeding people into it. So that's what Scientology missions are for. They cannot deliver all of the things that a Scientology org can deliver. They can deliver less, but it's not uncommon to have a mission doing way better than an org. In my opinion, it's because Scientology management, I feel, tracks Scientology orgs and micromanages them more. Yeah, missions can be small, Julia, you're right. Very small. And they don't have to keep regular hours either. So thank you, Moose on the Loose, for sharing that with us. Now let's pop back over to Clearwater here because some stuff went down last night. Did anybody watch? I was watching. Oh, Gina, shave ice too. Yeah, we're going to be eating a ton of that. Daniel Chamberlain, didn't David Miscavige close the missions down at some time? So I remember there was some big thing having to do with a mission holders conference. Something was done to crash the missions, but I don't know if that they were all shut down. And right now, I don't remember all the exact details of it, but something went down. It did. Something went down. All right, so let's talk about Clearwater. What is this? This is from Growing Up in Scientology. And while they were out there protesting Scientology, they came across an OG from the Sea Org, the one, the only Jeff Hawkins. And Jeffrey Hawkins wrote a book called Counterfeit Dreams. And even before he wrote the book, he was doing like hold on a second here, remove this, add that. He was doing sharing a lot of posts. He had a blog at one point. And when I was leaving Scientology, Jeff Hawkins was one of the people who helped me, be strong in that effort of leaving Scientology. And later on, his book came out, but he shared all of these blog posts. It really helped me understand what was really happening in Scientology management. Jeff Hawkins is also the person responsible for the Dianetics sold really well in the 80s because of some ads that were run, and that was Jeffrey Hawkins. And his book is Counterfeit Dreams. I had him on my channel last year. I should really have him on again, but amazing book, again, Counterfeit Dreams, because he speaks from the perspective of somebody too who was like creating all of these ads and campaigns to expand Dianetics. And he talks about and shares what David Miscavige's reaction was to that, despite the fact that it actually did do well, and how David Miscavige actually ruined it. I know, big surprise, right? Big surprise. In fact, Hold on. I forgot to wake up Osa earlier, so let's do that. And if you have not already seen, I am taking Davey with me to Hawaii. So I got him a cute outfit. It says summer vibes. He's got cute shorts and even some sunglasses. Maybe he'll wear them at night. I wear my sunglasses at night. He's not going to wear them right now when he wakes up Osa because, you know, I don't want to have to replace these. Office of Special Affairs. Wake up, my lovelies. Ooh. It's Saturday. I forgot. I try to be a little more quiet. Okay, Office of Special Affairs. You missed a lot. So you got to go back on the replay and read and, you know, go relook at some stuff. Here's the deal. We need to talk about what happened in Clearwater. So let's watch this video and we'll talk more about Jeff Hawkins.
What the hell is this, Jeff?
I just love that. What a surprise.
Oh my God, how you doing?
Good.
Special guest. I had no idea you were in town.
Yeah, I'm in.
Hey, Dave. It's been a long time.
How you doing?
Oh, is there a special event going on?
It's Mike's thing.
That's what I
They're in town for Mike Rinder's funeral.
thought.
Yeah.
Well, welcome to downtown Clearwater.
Yes. Are you live?
Yeah.
Hey, everybody.
There's sort of a separate, half the people that would normally be here are about a block away at another location right now. Yes.
Good to see you out here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you been to Flag recently?
Last time I was here was 2002. I was still in.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I had a tour of the building.
Oh my
It was
God.
empty at the time.
Yeah.
And still is.
Was it like when you say empty, like it was just concrete, right? Like
It was just, empty spaces.
wasn't even finished at all, right?
No.
Yeah.
So he gets to see it all done and finished. But if you really want to read another good book from a former Scientologist, former Sea Org member, Counterfeit Dreams could be that book for you. I don't know if it's on Audible. Yeah, I know. I read the actual book, but Counterfeit Dreams, you can find it on Amazon. Old Frizz, I do believe, they just waited to hold it. My suspicion or guess is maybe because there's a lot of out of town people. I'm sure it's going to be amazing. And the Rinder family has a lot of people coming into town for that. So I hope that it goes absolutely wonderfully, which I'm sure it will. And people can celebrate the life of Mike Rinder and help his family. All right. So now let's see what else happened. So then Aaron's standing there on the side, right? Doing Aaron. And then this police officer comes up. Let's take a look at that.
Let's go say hi. No, they have graduation every Friday night. Nobody. Oh, they have new windows. Our phones used to be able to see right through the windows.
Are those the windows that are at the testing center where they can magically change? I couldn't tell. It kind of looks like it, but it also could be a blind. Let me know if you can tell in the chat. The Hollywood Testing Center has these windows that as soon as somebody shows up, they frost.
They have new windows.
Okay, so I got to back it up a bit. So the next clip is when the officer comes up to Aaron. This started when Aaron went up to the door to go ahead and take a look, which they had done a lot of times before. But apparently their property line is halfway past a pillar, which is so then you're on their property at that point if you go too close to the door.
Incredible.
So then he goes out about his business. And then a little bit after that, okay, so Constance June thinks that they frosted them. So maybe it's permanent. I don't know. Farrell Cheryl, what do you think? Do you think you've seen the videos in the Hollywood Testing Center where someone walks out with a camera and then it goes whoosh, and then you can't see through the window? Do you think these are those windows at Flag or these are just permanently frosted? If you could tell. Brookie says, I think renting out the hall for Jenna's birthday would be a hoot too. Okay, so Farrell Cheryl says, new windows, not the magic kind. Wow, why don't they get the magic kind for Flag for the Fort Harrison? But they have them in Hollywood. I think that's interesting. Huh. Yeah, Julie, I think you're right. They're similar to transition lenses, the way they turn. All right, so they're not the magic windows. So after Aaron had gone up to the door and apparently, allegedly, supposedly crossed the property line, the officer who's hired by Scientology to be in there and harass protesters, I'm not sure what else, keep security, comes out and talks to Aaron. So let's take a look at that. And again, this is from Aaron Smith-Levin's channel, Growing Up in Scientology.
Why is he eyeballing us? What does that mean?
You can't come back onto the property.
What property?
So the officer's saying they're going to have you trespass. You can't come back onto the property, but he doesn't clearly identify which or what property. Not yet, anyways.
If you come back onto the property.
What property?
They choose to press charges.
What property?
You can go to jail.
What property?
The church right here.
Okay. Do you have any?
So 215 South Fort Harrison. Okay. Do you have any questions?
I didn't go in the building.
You came up to the front door there. Okay?
You can't go into the front door of a hotel?
No, you can't.
It's a hotel. I went up to the front door. The door was closed. It wasn't even open.
All right, so you're going to be trespassed.
Hey, there's Sandy McKenna in the back. She was there too. And we saw Jamie there too, holding the sign and wondering what's happening.
Okay.
Oh, thank you.
Go back onto the property. You're subject to arrest.
That's wonderful. Are you working in the hotel tonight?
Yes.
You are? Are you off duty or are you on duty? Are you off duty or on duty? Are you off duty or on duty?
Yeah, I'm working. Watch out.
So what's your name and what's your badge number?
You're going to.
So as you know, Scientology hires off-duty officers. I don't know why he just wouldn't say, because it wouldn't be hard to find out and figure that out, but whatever. Okay. So what happens then is the protesters out there decide, well, I mean, we're across the street, but if you're going to harass protesters, then we'll go right in front of the door. Take a look.
We were just minding our business on the far corner, getting cars to honk at Tom Cruise. But if they want to come and harass us, we'll come and bring the party right to their front door.
And they did. And I'm pretty sure Scientology wasn't happy about it. But this is, kind of what happens. And it's interesting that they had the police officer there, because I don't recall, Sandy, if you're here, or Farrell Cheryl, like that they would have an officer there before. Of all the times, why that time? There has been many times where someone's walked up to the door. And if indeed it is true that that's where the property line is, fine. They have a point then. The property line should not be crossed. But I think that needs to be verified for sure. I mean, it may very well be, but it's just odd that Scientology wouldn't have sent an officer out earlier any of the other times that happened. Farrell Cheryl says it's almost like the cops are ashamed of their extra work at the Fort Harrison. Yes, it was very much giving that. I felt too like he didn't want to say. You could tell. I mean, that's a hard job to take. That's a hard job to take, to be working for Scientology. You can't tell me he doesn't know. Farrell Cheryl says they are itching to arrest Aaron and the rest of us. I don't doubt that at all. And that is why it's so important to know, when you are live streaming or protesting Scientology, know what the laws and ordinances are in that specific city. They are not necessarily the same. And then make sure that you follow it. If you don't, you give Scientology even a centimeter of breaking an ordinance or the law, they will take an entire foot and turn it into something that it is not. And once you know what the rules are, it's fairly easy to still be able to protest and follow those rules, so that you're not giving them what they want. And then you just end up being, what they want to do is they want to drain resources. So they want to get people involved in court cases to drain resources. They've been doing this for a long time. It's not even necessarily to win, or to make it so certain people cannot no longer protest at their buildings. This is pretty much what they're trying to do there. Let's see. You're so right, Mrs. Bramlett. Scientology is great at creating their own problems. They really do, every day, all day. Hey, Fat Grammy, we need to get that changed like we did in LA. No PD duty at Scientology. That would be amazing. Northern Girl says they're getting mad because of the pushback they're getting about buying the street. I think so too. And I think that's probably why they had an officer out, is they didn't know what to expect. There was a fundraiser done the night before at Nash Keys right there in downtown Clearwater. And I think there were about 100 people there. And maybe Scientology was worried that every single one of them would show up. Lisa in Brooklyn, yep, they are protecting criminals. That's what Scientology does. They've been doing it for decades, protecting their own criminals. Skyfire says should be illegal to be off duty, but in uniform. I think that too. I don't know why it's not. To me, that seems strange to be being paid by a city there to serve and protect. But then you get hired by Scientology in uniform, looking like you're still representing the police and protecting the city when it's outside security. I don't like that. Why can't they wear a different uniform? Put on a flag shirt. Why are they allowed to wear a uniform while they're off duty? Exactly, Marilyn. I don't understand that. I don't know. Hey, Aaron, growing up in Scientology, I've looked into it and it turns out this was not trespassing and I will be challenging it. That's awesome. Good. Aaron also says there are no signs indicating it's not okay to approach the door, and I was never asked to leave. That is very, very true. They're still going to try. Growing up in Scientology also says the door is 4 feet off of a public sidewalk. And yes, why do they have 5 security guards inside the door, but no security guards outside the door? So, Aaron, is that who Joey Meatballs is? Is he a security guard for Scientology? Not with the police? And maybe Cheryl and anyone else might know. I missed the part about who Joey Meatballs was. He looks like he's there doing security. And Aaron, I'm glad that you are looking into that. Because again, you give them a centimeter, they'll take a foot. Tina in the last 20 says it is illegal and can be found in the employment contract. Girl, no way. Even in Clearwater? Ooh, need to look into that. JB808, my brother.
Aloha.
Mahalo for gifting 10 Life After Occult memberships. I appreciate that so much, JB, and thank you for being here. We're going to be maybe 2 islands over from you in next week. Dan C got a membership. Thank you, you guys. If you're getting a free membership, absolutely give an aloha to JB. Farrell Cheryl says Joey Meatballs has been standing in front of the Fort Harrison for at least 15 years. Same jacket, same toupee, Osa maybe. Huh. I guess, it's been longer since I been to Flag. I left Scientology 15 years ago. Back in my day, gather around for a back in my day, people. Back in my day, you know who was at the door? Ooh, tip of my tongue. Dan Tall. What was his last name? Halverson. Anybody remember him? Second generation Scientologist. Parents live in Seattle. That's I think the last time that I was at Flag. So if Joey Meatballs has been there for 15 years, is he or is he not a SEERG member? I wonder. Meatballs. Definite Trouble Source says, no, it's Joey Meatballs. Please pronounce it correctly. Joey Meatballs. Yeah, that's right, Maria. No, not welcome. All are not welcome. What I didn't see, unless I missed it, because I did step away from the streams a couple of times, is I was wondering if there was a Pat Harney sighting. Did I miss a Pat Harney sighting? Aaron Smith-Levin's best friend, Pat Harney. Did I miss it? Because I want to go back and watch it if I did. So Fat Grammy says, first of all, I love when Fat Grammy starts off anything with, first of all, Joey Meatballs. Second, is there an org for police? Can Growing Up in Scientology please give us guidance on how to help best? Okay, good. So if he needs any help with that, I think that's what you're saying there. All right, now, hold on here. Where I just think I'm missing. Did I pull it up? I did. All right, let's move on to the Relatable Reese topic. And I want to share, I do have a clip, but first I want to say, first things first. Okay, this is not a hit piece. I'm not here to drag, defend, attack, or even pick sides. what I want to do is give a little background and talk about what's been happening, because honestly, it's become its own universe. And somehow we all kind of got pulled into the gravity field. So you guys know, Reese started her channel on YouTube in July of 2023. And I started watching her, may have been December when I started on YouTube, but it could have been a little bit earlier. But we got on YouTube just within months. She was in August. I got on in December. But I think I started watching her right before I got on YouTube. And I really enjoyed her content. I thought, you know, she was newly out of Scientology. I did agree she was relatable and funny. And for me as a viewer, and I'm saying this as a viewer, things changed, in my opinion, when Tommy Scoville came up and got involved. That is my opinion. When they started doing content together, I didn't like it as much. That's my opinion as a viewer, as someone who was watching and having my very own parasocial relationship. Because then I don't think Reese and I did a video together, which would have been the first time I kind of met her, not in person, but online. I want to say maybe last February, March, could have even, no, it was after Tony died. So it was even later. Tony died in June. So Reese and I didn't do a video till sometime late June, July, and it could have been August was the first time. And we did a few videos together and I thought it went really well, but that's when she was broken up with Tommy. When she was with Tommy, we weren't collaborating. When she broke up with Tommy, then we did some videos together and I had a good time doing that. And then when she and Tommy got back together again, we weren't collaborating. And it wasn't because of some big dramatic moment, right? It's just, in my opinion, because the vibe changed. I don't think that Tommy was a fan of mine and I wasn't a fan of Tommy, and Reese knew that. And I'm pretty sure Tommy knew that. And that is all fine. I've never met either of them in public. They were people that, you know, I didn't watch a lot of Tommy's content, just a little bit to kind of understand what his channel was about. So after that, it seemed, in my opinion, as a viewer, I was watching and seeing that it seemed the content seemed to become more about critics of the channel, or, you know, people who she had conflict with. And then there were, you know, trolls, it's like suddenly this multiverse became a thing. It was just Relatable Reese's channel, and it's turned into a bit of a multiverse throughout their relationship. Because then it's, you know, when Tommy came in, and in my opinion, that's where, as a viewer, I wasn't enjoying it as much. They broke up. We did content together. They got back together again. And then it was just a lot about, you know, there seemed to be people coming out of the woodwork to throw shade and expose. And I'm not even throwing shade at those people. This is YouTube, right? People have different things they can cover, and what they want to cover varies. And there's an audience for all of it. What really has me curious, and what I'm trying to process in real time, is why she's so polarizing. I am aware of everything, but let me talk about it personally, and then we'll talk about it kind of like as a content creator, because to me, they're kind of different points of view. Personally, I didn't really know either of them. I don't run into them in my community, so I did not feel this attachment to them as content creators. And it wasn't the kind of content then that I enjoyed watching. So I wasn't watching as much, but then I started watching again after they broke up again with Tommy. So I was kind of following things, and it's a lot. If you're not familiar with Relatable Reese and her story, you can do a crash course on her channel and get caught up, but I'm kind of giving you the overview. So, it was, it became very rocky, and there were a lot of back and forth. Some people would do videos and she would do videos responding to that. And that's how these things go on the internet when you respond to things like that. So then moving forward a little bit, there was an incident at a local restaurant where a friend of a man, there was an altercation that Reese got into with a man, an argument, when she was live streaming in a restaurant, and she shared her version of events from her point of view. And then a friend of the man went and did a video on, I think it was Facebook, about this. And that blew my mind, because I'm like, wow, they're like not even in the universe. You know what I'm saying? Here on YouTube, but outside of that. And now they're doing videos throwing shade at her because they said her version of events is not what happened. okay, so you got a couple versions out there. So then, and then there was a time like she got into an argument with a guy outside Costco who threatened her. And so for me, I was like, is it polarizing because she's on YouTube, right? Or is it polarizing because of her as an individual? Like, what makes her so polarizing? People absolutely love Relatable Reese or they hate her. There does not seem to be a lot of in between. I look at the whole thing, I'm very unattached from it because, again, we did some content together. That went absolutely fine. I've never had a beef with her. For me personally, you know, the only thing, the closest was when like there was a period of time, I don't know if she still has this point of view, where she believed that Aaron Smith-Levin from growing up in Scientology was sending people after her to make videos about her and attack her. Personally, I do not believe that to be true because I feel like if Aaron Smith-Levin wanted to send people after somebody, he would mention it to me. He's never mentioned it to me. He's never asked me to go over here and do this and that or do this video. Like never, not one time. Nor has he ever criticized me for having on my channel people that he doesn't vibe with. My channel is my channel and I run my channel as a business because this is how I'm trying to make a living here on YouTube. So the decisions I make for my channel are solely for the growth and the health of my channel and my audience. And Aaron has always respected that. So that didn't sit well with me. I didn't see that happening in reality. What I saw happening is when Reese was on the SPTV Foundation board, I mean, you guys have seen the video, so you know there were people who had disagreements with her and felt wronged by her. And they had their own my pearls, their own experience. And so this back and forth was going on with these reaction videos. And Barb Sylvie is one of them who used to be a moderator for growing up in Scientology. And I can tell you when Barb Sylvie was going around sharing text messages from Reese and Tommy with people, and Aaron has talked about this on his channel, where Reese privately apologized to me for lying about that. Oh, good. That's awesome. I was going to get to that. That was a spoiler alert. Oh my gosh, my nose is sweating. These hot flashes. Did I like forget to take my supplement? Hold on, you guys. The hormones, I'm telling you, it's like real being a woman in your 50s. And I can't even take off my sweatshirt or I'd flash all of you, and it's not that kind of platform. So anyways, even then I was like, okay, right? I don't know how she came to that conclusion, but that's what she believed to be true. And that's what she shared on her channel. And there was no back and forth. Really, Aaron and Reese did a video together and seemed to kind of lay everything out on the table. And I thought that was incredible because a lot of times, whether you're friends or even in a community here on YouTube, when you get upset, you sometimes say things that you don't mean, or you take action that you later regret. And I believe that those things can be handled and smoothed over if you have people who are willing to have open communication about it. And they seem to do that. So, but things went way south after that too, with her accusing Aaron of sending people after her. And as Aaron just said, she has since apologized for that. So currently today, is that the thing she apologized for? I just want to be clear on that, Aaron, that was the specific thing. And then, but there's no like ongoing back and forth, like everybody's kind of doing their own thing. And because of a lot that was coming out when Reese did her long con video about Tommy Scoville, it just like more things got churned up. And this multiverse has continued to grow where you've got Relatable Reese and you have different channels doing content about her and Tommy. And again, I'm not throwing any shade at them. You do the content that you want to do for your channel. It's, you know, there's obviously an audience for it because people watch. And it got me thinking, why do we watch? Because I watch. If it's as someone who's been watching her show since I came onto YouTube, I think that's kind of why I was interested. And this story, it has multiple levels. I mean, there's so much layered in here, and it's a very tangled web. And if you're not tracking, you almost got to do a crash course on her channel to kind of get caught up. And throughout all of this, there have been people who fiercely support Reese and people who fiercely oppose her. And Reese herself has admitted to doing a lot of the hateful, mean, cruel things that she did and was trying to be better and do better. And it is up to the people that she hurt or harmed if they want to accept that, if they want to no longer have a relationship, you know, whatever it is, it's up to those people. So I'm watching all this. And remember, I'm watching it as a viewer because we did a few videos together, but we don't regularly talk. And when she's with Tommy, I wanted to keep my distance because I had my own red flags that would go, you know, sirens that would go off for me when it came to Tommy Scoville. And before Reese and I even did a video together, we talked about that. Like I let her know what I honestly felt about it. And she was cool with it because we're creating content together. We're not moving in together. And so all these things start going down. And I'm seeing like this polarization happening. And I'm like, this is crazy how there's almost no in between. It really seems like this love-hate. And why is that? And why is it that this multiverse around her can continue to grow? And it is because YouTube thrives on strong emotional reactions. Viewers want a hero, a villain, a redemption arc, and preferably a scandal somewhere in between. YouTube is meant to be entertaining and educational. And if you can be educational and entertaining, then I think that is a really good thing. Things that I've learned since being on YouTube, I've learned that, you know, being entertaining, being educating, that's what people are looking for. And there's multiple creators across YouTube outside of this anti-Scientology community who are very polarizing figures. And again, you love them or you hate them. What was that one girl's name? Trisha something. Trisha starts with a P. She, for a long time, she could post a video doing anything, eating a cheeseburger, crying, standing in her kitchen, and half the internet would be ready to crown her like the queen of honesty. And then the other half demanded cancellation and shutdown. And polarization isn't about how audiences project their own stuff onto public figures, because if they, you know, sometimes you might think that someone can do no wrong. And then the other side feels they can do no right. They're both very extreme. And this has me fascinated. And this is why I want to talk about this, because I'm trying to understand it. Because from where I sit, I've not had any beef or issue with Reese personally. I'm well aware of what's gone on around. And so therefore I understand some of the videos that were made that were calling her out on it. But I don't have strong feelings about it, because it has nothing to do with me. And at the end of the day, it's not really my business. But it is interesting because I still watch it. So it got me thinking again, like how the internet and YouTube, like that is right. Because why so many people will tune in to watch something that's drama, and then something that's not so drama but has some great information in it doesn't do as well. It's just human nature from everything that I've tried to read up on, learn, and understand. Yes, Kelly, thank you. I don't know how to say that last name, but that is that's exactly who I was thinking about. You know, another one like that. So hold on a sec. Okay, so growing up in Scientology says that was the thing she apologized for. She knew I had nothing to do with the attacks. Okay, which is good, because it's just not, that didn't make any sense to me. And I don't know, I'm not sure how she came to that conclusion because I've not talked to her about it. So this multiverse starts to grow, and there's a lot of different opinions about it. And, you know, I'm watching it, but I always like to look at things from the viewpoint of, you know, what's the lesson to learn here? What can we learn from this? What's happening? Because this same thing is not special or unique to this community. It happens in every single YouTube community. There are channels dedicated to exposing Mr. Beast. There are channels dedicated to exposing other creators, and they kind of do videos sometimes back and forth. Some people don't respond, and it tends to get good views and do well on the internet. So then I realized, okay, it's more human nature. So I don't even fault people for that. And if you feel you have kind of a sense of justice, and like you've had friends who've been hurt from somebody, you want to defend those friends, and you don't want other people to get hurt. So I understand that. And I'm not even saying don't do it. I'm not saying what to do at all. I just think it's fascinating watching this all play out with this polarization. And then I got to thinking like, well, from a content creator perspective, it's my opinion that one of the biggest traps a content creator can fall into is letting the critics, the trolls, the drama hijack their content. And I get it. It's tempting. When someone attacks you online, your fight or flight kicks in. But I think there's a more harsher truth to that. Every minute you spend responding to them, you're handing them the keys to your brand. But again, not everybody does YouTube as a business. And when she and I were still talking before she got back in touch with Tommy, my advice was always do not respond. Do not respond to things that you read on Reddit. Otherwise, you're addressing your critics and your trolls or people who you've hurt and harmed and are calling you out about it. You can, addressing that like she did in trying to take some responsibility for it, I think was a step in the right direction, a step. But if it takes over the whole channel, because I was thinking too, like I'm not catching a lot of her content. I fell very behind, whereas I used to watch everything. So as a viewer and as a content creator, I had to ask myself why, what was turning me off about it? Because I like to think through these things from different point of view so I can better understand it and better understand all of the parties involved. But now I definitely have a feel for, it's hard to resist the impulse to respond publicly when someone's saying things about you that you don't like or you're not happy about. And there's a difference in my mind. I don't see everyone who does that labeled as trolls, because you can be hurt by somebody, have a disagreement, and talk about it on a channel and let people know what happened. There, in my mind, trolling is a bit different. And I think those are two different things. So you get into a situation as a content creator of what do you address and what do you not address? And everybody does it differently. You guys know me here on my channel. I don't address a lot of it. I'm blissfully unaware of a lot of it. Factually, sidebar, I don't think there's even that much hate about me. But if there is, I'm blissfully unaware of it, which is how I like to keep it. At the same time, I find myself still keeping track and watching a lot of what's going on. Molly Lang,
Aloha.
Thank you so much for the super chat. First round of smoothies are on me when you're all on the island. Oh, Molly, thank you so much. It's going to be so fun. So for me, and I'm giving my opinion, this is just my point of view, take it or leave it. And again, I'm not throwing shade on anybody that's done videos about Reese. It's all part of the multiverse. She continues to respond to it. So there's a back and forth there, and people do seem to be interested in watching that. And in the YouTube world, they say you got to create content that your audience is interested in, because the YouTube algorithm will push things out to an audience that they think is interested in that, whether they're subscribed to the channel or not. So the YouTube algorithm is an interesting beast. And so if you change your content from what it was to get more into a different style of content, and in my opinion, Reese has done a lot of content going back and forth and addressing pretty much everything. And me personally, I wouldn't have done it like that, but that doesn't matter. It's her channel. She gets to do what she wants to do and how she handles it. And maybe that's just part of it. Maybe life on YouTube will always involve some level of people with disagreements and then creating content about each other. And as much as I'd like to live in a world where we all get along and do great content, that just doesn't seem to be reality, not just in this community, but in many other communities across the internet and YouTube. And for me, that really takes out the personalization about it. And really nothing that was happening it wasn't about me. And there are very specific people that she absolutely did hurt and was dishonest with. And I've seen her try to take responsibility for that. And people can accept that or accept an apology or not. But again, not my monkey, not my circus. I'm not here to tell her what to do or how to run her channel or anybody for that matter. I'm looking at all this just as somebody who has followed this along and trying to wrap my head around why it gets so much attention on YouTube. because you guys know I have the things that I cover and I talk about that are Scientology related or cult related, and because I'm fascinated by the human behavior around all of this. If I'll use block and mute, and my mods will time out people who are being hateful. It's totally, completely okay to disagree. But I believe that energy flows where your attention goes. So where you put your attention, where you put your energy, you get more of that. So when you respond to people who have disagreements, don't like you, hate you, or others who are trolls. And again, I don't put people who've been hurt by Reese in the category of being trolls. I don't think that's the case at all. And I do believe they have a right to stand up for themselves and set the record straight from their perspective. I think you can do it a multitude of ways. And then she at the same time too has a right to say, hey, this is my version of events. What has me curious is the level of vitriol and upset that it causes for people who weren't involved in any of it. And that got me thinking, when we watch things on YouTube and we get really involved, and sometimes they call that a parasocial relationship because you don't really have a relationship with the person offline. And then you are offended by what they do, or you personalize it in some way. Or, not that long ago, I was getting comments and messages that were incredibly hateful because of who I was friends with, from people who I'd never met before in my life, but seemed to think that they had some say in that situation. And so for me, I think this all goes back. It all goes back to kind of human nature. And I think that, audiences come to a channel because they connect with the content. And you got to figure out what your audience is and what that content is. And at the end of the day, Relatable Reese's story is still unfolding. Everyone's going to have their opinions. Some will stay and support her. Some will unsubscribe but still watch. Some will unsubscribe and walk away. And some will set up entire reaction channels to it. Like I said, it's becoming this like multiverse. For me, I'm over here observing, learning, and sipping my coffee. But why are people so addicted to the drama? And I'm not talking now about just the drama surrounding Relatable Reese. Tons of drama online and on the internet. And before we judge, I'm not judging the whole Relatable Reese multiverse too harshly, because let's be real, it's human nature. Humans love drama. Like biologically, it's messy. And then we're like, oh my gosh, I want to see this. And I read something there's the founder of Psych Central. His name's Dr. John Grohl. I think that's how you say it. And he said, quote, "Our brains are wired to pay attention to social information that could affect our standing within a group." So that's pretty much like our cavemen. This is in relation to people who aren't involved in any of these disagreements. Okay. I'm talking people not involved at all, people who just watch, but who I've seen get incredibly involved and going here and there and supporting this person and trying to attack that person. It's like next level fandom. So to me, when I read that from that doctor, it's kind of like our caveman ancestors needed to know who was sleeping with whose cave wife, because that could literally affect who got food, shelter, or who got clobbered with a rock. And even today, drama triggers our brain's reward system. It activates the amygdala, the part of the brain that responds to threats. So drama feels urgent, important, life or death, even when it's two YouTubers, just kind of like doing videos back and forth, no matter what it's about. So if that's human nature, it made more sense to me why it would be that way. Because when I first got on YouTube and started seeing some of this, I tend not to address it, even if it's involving me. But I've been so curious as to why it gets so much attention. And this really helped me understand that. And as an audience member, myself included, and for all of you, I think it's important to remember a couple of things and check in with ourselves. Drama generates dopamine, right? The same chemical rush you get from gambling or eating sugar. And the more creators feed into it, the bigger the payoff, until it crashes, just like a sugar crash. Meanwhile, peaceful, helpful, non-drama content can feel like it's invisible because it doesn't trigger the same survival mode, clicks. And watching drama unfold can be entertaining. I find it entertaining at times, right? No shame in that game at all. But here's the deal. There's a line between watching drama for a little mental popcorn and accidentally letting it hijack your energy, your peace, and your brain. And I think that's where the line is, because I was asking myself, Natalie, yes, self, what is the line? Right? Am I going too far down a drama hole or something hateful? Like, where is the line? And I think it's when you start feeling personally upset about internet strangers, that's a red flag. If it becomes a daily emotional habit, not a once in a while, guilty pleasure, that might be a red flag. If you leave more stressed or angry or drained than entertained, then that could be a red flag. If you're picking sides like you're getting a championship ring out of it, that could be a red flag, especially if you were not involved. I just find it absolutely fascinating. And I think some ways to kind of help us when we want to consume content like that is to maybe set a timer, a mental timer before you hit play. Right? I'm going to watch this video and then I'm going to move on. I'm not just going to go one after the other and, kind of like doom scrolling. And stay a viewer, not a fighter. You don't need to battle in the comment section. That's kind of a trap because now you're fighting with people. Now you have beef with people over something you had nothing to do with. And now when you see each other in chats, now you're fighting there. Like I've seen this go down multiple times. And maybe ask yourself, if this all disappeared tomorrow, would it actually matter to my life? And that really puts it in perspective as well. Keep your real life dreams louder than any YouTube drama. And then I think you, as someone who watches these things, you can enjoy it, right? Enjoy the content. And if you want to watch content that's more serious or has a drama twist to it, just make sure you're not getting so far into it that it's interfering with your day-to-day life, because a little drama can be fun. I mean, it's like why soap operas do so well, but real life, real peace, real purpose should always be bigger than someone else's plot twist. And in looking all that, I think those are just some good ways to protect our own mental health and remember and keep things in perspective as we watch this. These are real people. These are real people who were hurt. And that is worth noting. Now, what I'm talking about too has a lot more to do with, as a viewer, when you're watching this, I think those steps might actually help people not get too involved when they don't need to be. Because I know as a content creator, I don't want people who like my content and who like me to feel that they need to go fight my battles. I don't want that. Like I said, I'm blissfully unaware of any of it anyways. And if I don't pay attention to it and I'm not concerned with it, I would encourage my viewers to not be concerned. Things involving me. But at the same time, I like watching some of this drama unfold too. So there's no shame in that. So I guess my whole point is enjoy the drama, but make sure you're balancing it so that it's not all like that. And I'm also saying, I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with what some people would label as drama. I think hate is a different thing. I think having disagreements, even if you call somebody out on something, but full-blown actual hate, that's different. And we all know that difference. And that's why I invite people on my channel to ask questions. But if you do it disrespectfully, then, I'm probably just going to block you. Let me grab some of your comments and questions because I'm getting super behind here. Let's see. Bella Notes. Ooh, you got a long one. Thank you for being a member for 9 months. Aloha, Nat. Love your content because you don't attack or shame. Some people just don't know when to move on. I enjoy your content. Thank you for all you do. Yeah. And again, I'm not throwing shade at anybody that does the content about Reese. She kind of created her own situation, and this is fallout from all of that. And even though it's becoming and growing this multiverse, it is the core, the center, the common denominator is her herself. And where she wants to put her attention and how she wants to move forward is going to be up to her as a content creator. Let's see here. And then I asked a question of the day. And Defining Trouble Sources said, some creators become codependent within their viewers and they fuel the drama to maintain the maladaptive relationship. It becomes an obsessive addition between viewers and creators' content. True. I try to be conscious too of having and maintaining good, healthy boundaries, with my audience. And that's not just only for me, it's also for you. But at the same time, we have times and moments where we come together and we can support each other, like so many of you that have been supporting me and my family through the loss of my Tony. And even when he was sick, you guys were supporting us and there. And there's this whole flip side to YouTube and YouTube communities where people can make real friendship and connection. Some of the people I'm closest to today are people I technically met online. And I remember there was a time when it was like, what are you doing going to meet someone you met online? That's weird. And now I'm doing it. So I think those things and those relationships are valid. So maybe it's just a matter of finding the creators that we connect with. And if you find yourself getting too worked up about it and upset, then maybe back away or find some balance, go watch something else and then come back to it. Radiate Life says, I'm confused as to how this all ties into her being on the board, the relationship with the board. Well, I'm not sure that it does. She was on the board and then she left the board. She gave her reasons for leaving. But then I think she changed her mind about that. Not about being on the board, but about her reasons for leaving. But otherwise today, I don't think there really is, there's not a connection there. Let's see. Hold on. Me and Taz says, keep Aaron away from Scientology till vacation time. No, I hear that. So let me know what you guys think about that. Jump in the comments if you're on the replay. And like I said, no shade to anybody. Just as a viewer and a content creator, I am fascinated by how this has played out and how there is this entire Relatable Reese multiverse going on. And as a viewer, like I said, maybe think about those tips if it's getting too upsetting for you and take a step back. But otherwise continue to watch and view and support all of your favorite content creators. I watch a ton of them as a viewer. I love their content, even if at times where I'm like, if I'm not interested in seeing a particular video, I just don't watch it. And it's that same on my channel. You don't have to watch everything I do. Watch what you connect with the creators that you do connect with. And I think at the end of the day, that's how we can kind of protect our mental health in a situation in a community where things can get kind of crazy and volatile because of the nature of the internet and YouTube. And again, it's not just our community. It is all over the internet.
Aloha.
Marcy, thank you so much for gifting 5 Life After a Cult memberships. I so appreciate that. And if you guys get those, go ahead and give her an aloha or thank you on there. Radiate Life says, thank you for answering about the board. I was just confused. I mean, I thought there was more relationship because of the interaction with the board. That's all. Maybe I don't totally understand your question. Maybe you could kind of ask it a little different way. I don't know what you mean by more of a relationship because of the interaction. On the board of the SPTV Foundation, we vote on how monies are going to be spent and for who. It's not, there's not a lot, there's not a ton. Some of us off of the internet are friends and hang out and do things together. Like I'm going to Hawaii with some of my friends. But that, I wish we all could go. Like there's a bunch of other people. Like I want to plan trip after trip because there's so many people I would love to experience Hawaii with. But you can also go ahead and email me if I didn't answer that well, Natalie@lifeafteraccult.com. Let me make sure I didn't miss too much here. All right, we are going long here, so I am going to cut it short. But like I said, go ahead and you can ask questions in the comments. I'll try and pay attention, or you can email me, Natalie@lifeafteraccult.com. Make your own decisions, support who you want, don't support who you don't want, but don't let yourself be dragged into an emotional, something that is not what you're there for. And I'm talking about viewers. Content creators are going to do what they're going to do. I'm trying to look at this too from the viewpoint of somebody who's watching it, because I've seen some people who aren't involved at all going down a road that's probably not very healthy for them. But we all have a choice at the end of the day on how to do that. So please do me a solid, you guys, and hit that like and subscribe as well. I will see you. I'm going live in actually 30 minutes with an interview. We're going to talk about the dark secrets of Scientology Celebrity Center from a former insider. So I hope to see you there. If not, please catch it on the replay. Meanwhile, everybody, get out and have an amazing cult-free day.